But hopefully this is a great visual aid to help you understand exactly what is happening with frame advantage and frame disadvantage and all that stuff, because now I'm going to have the ability to show you something in the frame data tables that are going to make a lot more sense. So we were doing this visual example frame advantage right here. Two of the columns right next to frame on almost every sort of frame data table that you will ever see has a column called on hit and a column called on block. And you remember some of those numbers I was talking about? That standing medium punch gave me 7 frames of advantage. Well, hey, look at the chart. On hit, it says 7. On hit, it says 7. There you go. So all frame data tables include this info as on hit and on block. On block, it was +3. Remember that example that I just gave with the true block string? It was +3. Now you know exactly what I'm talking about with these numbers. Let me do one more thing for you guys here, because I am afraid that this is a little bit harder to read for you guys here. So screw it. I'm just doing this. Just going to make it gigantic. So there you go. Now you can see it a little bit better. And I am going to take this. Oops. Then I'm also going to have to take this red box here and on the fly slide editing. So I'm going to take this here and move it over here like this. So now you're going to look at these two columns here, and you can see the numbers better here. Now you're going to see that standing light punch on hit is +4 and +2 on hit and on block. Standing medium punch is +7 on hit and +3 on block. Remember, we did the standing heavy punch. It was the first move that I showed you guys that had frame disadvantage. Well, look at this, -2. That means after they block my standing heavy punch, they can move for 2 frames before me. And now you see that represented here in this frame data table, -2. So whenever you sit there and you hear commentators say that move was +1, that move was -5, oh, he has a 3 frame advantage, that move leaves you at a 5 frame advantage, you picture that spreadsheet, you picture those boxes, it all makes sense now. And again, because it's a video game, because this is a program, because they can only do what the game tells it to, and because most fighting games these days will not program in random generators and random factors to these things, because that would suck and be a terrible game, these numbers are going to be the same. So when you hear someone say, oh, it's my turn, it's your turn, this is what it means. My turn, frame advantage plus on block. Their turn, frame disadvantage minus on block. My turn means I can move before the opponent can. Their turn means they can move before me. It's all frame data, and this is why frame data is important, because it tells you the situation, but you don't have to memorize the numbers. You start memorizing what the situations are. I'm going to get into this in the next episode. I'm going to go into a lot more detail about interpreting moves and how to interpret this frame data so that the numbers matter even less. But understand that using frame data tables to tell you what the situation is what it's mostly used for. So what it actually turns out is when you look at a frame data table, these are the actual columns that you care the most about. Active frames, whatever. Recovery frames, whatever. It's all about startup frames and on hit and on block. And here's where you're going to find out why they count the startup and active frame to overlap. It's to make understanding what's possible a little bit easier. By saying a move has a startup of 7 frames and counting that active frame, that means I can go here and look at this number. On hit, I'm +7. Now, if I want to know if there's a move that combos with it, you just find every move that's 7 and under. Standing medium kick, 7 frame startup. I showed you earlier in my example. That's a combo. So now, standing medium punch, 7. Standing medium kick, 7. They match, it combos. Or 5 frames, yeah, that'll combo too. 5 frames, that'll combo. 8 frames, remember how heavy punch didn't combo in the spreadsheet example that I showed you? 8 is bigger than 7, so it doesn't combo. If they didn't make that overlap frame, it would have to be 7 and then everything under that number can combo. But if they're the same number, then it doesn't combo. And it's just weird. It's just weird that way. But if you make that frame overlap, then all these numbers are a lot easier to transport back and forth, okay? There's one more example that I didn't show you in that spreadsheet that I'm going to show you right now. And that I want you to take a look at this. And this is where frame data becomes the most important. The most important is when you see something like this. Standing heavy kick, -4. So remember how I said if it's +7, then I look for a 7, and that means I can combo. Well, hey, if I'm -4, that means a move that is 4 frames can punish it. Now, this is where frame data becomes the most important, is that if you want to know if you can punish moves, you can come into frame data, look up the character that you want to punish and see that it's listed as -6. Then go back to your character and look for frames that are 6 and lower. And then you can punish it. So one more time, I am going back to the spreadsheets here. So let's take a look at standing heavy kick again. I just mentioned that it was -4. And we'll see that here on this screen over here. And you'll notice, yep, sure enough, -4, because heavy kick only causes a 21 frames of block stun. So here you go. So my opponent can move before me for 4 frames. Now, the interesting thing about this is, what I didn't kind of mention is that the top row here represents my action, my state, my character state. So I'm Lucia, I'm doing standing heavy kick. This second row here has always kind of represented the opponent's state. The opponent can now do whatever they want. Well, let's say I am Lucia and I'm fighting Lucia right now. So both of these rows are Lucia. However, this is my opponent. They just blocked my standing heavy kick. This is me, and the other Lucia just blocked that heavy kick. Well, they could move 4 frames faster. Well, we already talked about the fact that, Lucia has the standing light punch here that, oh, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hey. 4 frames startup. So if I come back over here to this heavy kick section here, and sorry, that was scrolled off screen so you guys couldn't see it, but you can see the 4 frames of disadvantage here. 4 frames of disadvantage. And like I said, before I was saying, hey, I'm going to do a light punch next. But this time, my opponent gets to do the attack now. So while I'm in the recovery of my move, on the first frame, after my opponent recovers from block stun, look at this. They're going to do standing light punch, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hey! look at this. It's connecting on an active frame with its first active frame on a frame that my opponent is still recovering from their attack. So in other words, me as the Lucia that did heavy kick, I'm still in my recovery frames. I have to finish animating my move. My opponent they hit standing light punch, and it'll hit me before I finish my recovery animation. Thus, I am punished. This is why punishing works. This is the concept of punishing. You cannot recover out of your move fast enough for the opponent to not be able to hit you before you recover out of this. And again, while you're stuck in recovery, you're stuck in recovery. You cannot do anything. This is going to happen no matter what. And again, video games are a science. And fighting games, if they're well designed, it will be this precise every single time. So that will be a punish. So there you go. This is an example of what a punish looks like. And again, this is very important because, like I said, if I come back here onto the spreadsheets, you'll see when I see a -4, now all I need to do to find moves that'll punish you are find moves that have a startup that are shorter that are 4 frames or shorter. And again, that overlap frame makes it easier to find. If a move is -7, find a move with a startup of 7 frames or less. If a move is -12, find a move that has a startup of 12 frames or less. If a move has -3, then find a move that has 3 frames of startup or less, and they will punish. By keeping that overlap frame as part, the first active frame as part of the startup, it just makes looking for that information a lot clearer. But you can see now why these are the most important columns in a frame data table. There's going to be more columns, but we're not even going to talk about them. I'm ignoring them completely in all of the lessons here. I'm ignoring them completely. The ones you want to pay attention are the on hit, on block, and startup, because you are going to find yourself in that interaction very, very many times. When an opponent does a move that's plus on block, it's their turn. They have frame advantage, and they will always have that frame advantage if they perform it at the same, situation. Again, I've talked about other concepts that can affect that, but 95% of the time, you are going to have these exact precise numbers. And that's why frame data becomes important, because you don't have to now go into training mode and sit there and go, is this punishable? Let me test this. Oh, can I punish this? Let me test this. You just look at the chart and you know exactly right away. I looked at a move and I saw it was -9. Oh, okay, I looked for a move that had a 9-frame startup. I can punish it now. I didn't have to go into the game and test it. I just looked at the frame data and it told me right away. This is where frame data can help you. It's a shortcut to learning information. That's why I said it's for research and it's for confirmation of what you already know. So a lot of the times, if you know Lucia's standing medium punch and the crouching medium punch is a combo, I'll just come here and be like, +7 startup, and then crouching medium punch has a 5-frame startup. You're like, yeah, okay, I knew that was a combo. That worked. No big deal. It's confirmation of what you already know. So what frame chart data is, it's not something that you have to study necessarily. It's not something that you have to memorize. It is a confirmation tool and a research tool. It's there to remind you. Sometimes I'll be playing fighting games and I'll block something and I was like, wait, I can't remember if I can punish this or not. So I'll go bring up the frame data chart and I'll go look it up and I'll be like, oh, it's -2. I can't punish it. Stuff like that. That way you don't have to worry. You don't have to figure it out and like experiment and you can just look it up and it tells you right away. And that's mostly where frame data comes into play. And again, there are going to be outside influences as well. I'm talking about this all in a vacuum. Now, as I mentioned, media attacks are going to change things. Distances between yourself and the opponent is going to change a lot of things too, because a lot of this frame data is assuming that your move can reach the opponent as well. A lot of times you might be at ranges where certain moves won't be able to reach, so even though it's fast enough to punish, it won't punish. But again, more details than are necessary right now. I just want you to understand what the numbers of frame data are, what they mean, and how to kind of look at these numbers and why people use frame data, why people, what they're actually looking at. So when you open up a frame data table and you see all these numbers, you don't have to worry about it as much. It's really just on block, on hit, and startup. And those numbers you don't have to memorize. All you're memorizing is, can this punish this? Does this combo into this? Is this move safe on block? Those are the things that you're trying to figure out. And in the end, the numbers don't matter, because once you figure out what that situation, if I find out something is punishable, if I find out this character's crouching heavy kick is punishable by my crouching medium kick, what do I care the numbers for? Why would I ever care what the numbers are now? I just know if I block a crouching heavy kick, I will do a crouching medium kick and I can punish it. I don't have to memorize numbers. I just memorize that this move punishes that move. This move combos into that move. And again, the numbers are there to reinforce that idea, to help you remember those numbers, to help reinforce what you know. But once you figure out what they tell you, you then can just drop the numbers from your head forever, basically. Now, obviously, at the highest levels, there are certain situations where what the numbers are exactly will make a little bit of a difference. But at the level that you guys are playing at, they're not as necessary. But frame data tables might not even be necessary, but the thing is, I just want to get you guys to understand scientifically why things are advantage, why things are disadvantage, and I also want to make sure that you're not scared by a frame data table. You don't look at a frame data table and go, wow, forget this, and just shove it away. Startup frames, on hit, on block. Those are the 3 columns you look at. That's it. So 3 columns you look at, you start with, and that's the information you're going to need for 95% of the time you look at a frame data table. So that's all you're going to need, and hopefully with all the visual examples I've given you, it makes sense what these numbers mean. I just wanted you to see what they meant in that situation. Oh boy, I did combos and punishes way earlier than I was supposed to. I jumped ahead of the script. I was supposed to do combos and punishes here, but I already showed you combos and punishes already, so there you go. All right, I'm ahead of the curve. Woohoo! So again, lot of numbers, but as I said, you don't have to memorize these numbers. And again, I've already jumped ahead of my slides already as well. The numbers simply tell you and confirm what is possible, and you'll just start to categorize moves. This is what's going to happen. You're going to categorize the situations as opposed to memorizing numbers. Now, different games with different frame data tables are going to tell you few different things. And there are differences between stuff like his turn, my turn, punishable. And I also want to go into a concept called the magic number. This is an important concept because it changes between games. And it's something that when you switch between games, you'll have to kind of understand. But it's a very simple concept. And again, numbers are scary. Numbers are intimidating. I know. I feel the exact same way. I was a math major, but so I'm kind of okay with numbers, but I get it. I know that numbers are intimidating. And a lot of people, when they want to play fighting games, they want to play by feel. They want to play by heart. They want to just, learn as they go. And a lot of fighting games are quicker to learn if you have the frame data table. But what I'm hoping now is that even though if you are a person who likes to learn that way, frame data numbers will not intimidate you. You'll know what to look for. You'll know exactly what it is you're looking for. So in conclusion, I'm going to reiterate an important concept. I keep mentioning it. And so this is my jchensor's axiom for today. Frame data is absolute. It's consistent and it doesn't change. Okay? Fighting games a lot of times feel like magic. Okay? A lot of times fighting games feel like magic because it feels like the same situation you do over and over and over again. Sometimes it changes. But you know, that if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results, that's madness, right? That's what they say. And fighting games are no different than that. If you do the same situation over and over and over again and you expect a different result, that's madness. So you have to understand that fighting games are absolute. What worked before will work again. Now, there are a lot of very, very peculiar situations where something that looks like it was supposed to work and you're pretty sure has worked didn't work. Even if that happens, there are usually a reason why it happened. It could be a specific character's hitbox. Sometimes a character will have a particular hitbox that just goes into a different shape when they get hit, depending on the fighting game. Sometimes, this character will just have a different weight class. So when you're trying to juggle them, something doesn't work against this character that it did against another character. But as long as the character remains the same, your results are always going to be the same. Again, there's no magic or randomness in fighting games unless the game purposely puts randomization in there, such as a character like Faust. In Guilty Gear, he has a move where he throws an item out and the item comes out random. And I only put that in quotes because I'm a programmer. It comes out random. Computers can't actually be random, but that's a tangent for another day. But outside of those situations where the developers intentionally try to make something random, everything is going to be consistent in fighting games. And that's such an important concept to learn because, again, that means the way you get stronger in a lot of these fighting games is after you defend against another specific move. You'll know that if you defend against that move, the next time it's going to be the same situation. So rather than seeing a game as just all these random situations, you start memorizing everything. If you block Laura's crouch medium kick into elbow charge, she's -2. It's your turn. You can attack her. If you got hit after you blocked that, then you probably blocked something else and you didn't realize it, or you just mistimed your counterattack. There's always going to be a logical reason why it happened. It's never magic. It's never random. It's always a science. And this is something that's very important to understand. I feel like people who understand that about fighting games have an easier time processing fighting games. Now, again, there are so many variables in fighting games that the number of interactions that two possible characters can have with each other are infinite based off of resources, distances, heights, and all sorts of crazy things. But if you recreate those situations, the result will be the same every single time. And so what you do is you learn to take fighting games, pull them into those situations, and then memorize those situations. In the future, I'll be having an episode where I talk about key moments, which is a phrase that Ryan Hunter, Florida FGC player, super smart guy, very great teacher, one of the best scientists in fighting games. He talked about key moments. And the reason why he talks about key moments is because they are repeatable situations that you need to pay attention to and remember what happens in those key moments, because those key moments are repeatable and the results afterwards will be the same. And so that becomes the mind game right there. That's basically where you start to play rock, paper, scissors, where you just go up to your opponent and like, okay, last time you threw rock, so I think you're going to rock again, so I'm going to throw paper. Key moments are that, and frame advantage is largely what determines key moments. If you're both in neutral, there are no key moments. But if you block Armika's drop kick, which makes her +1 or +2 after you block it, it's her turn. She has an advantage. That's a key moment. That is a moment that you're going to have to remember what the reactions are from your opponent and keep track of that one situation so that you can kind of, play the mind games at that point. That's a key moment. Another key moment, if you block a jump in, what does the opponent do? Etc., etc. These are the key moments that you want to remember because they are repeatable, because these things will come up time and time and time again. And it's why some of the people who play online the most, who experience the most matches, will always be the strongest players out there because they start figuring out what those key moments are. They hit those situations and they're like, I don't know what to do in that situation. I don't know the advantage, disadvantage. Let me look it up. Let me lab it. Let me research it. Now they know it. And next time they run into it, they won't be caught off guard. And that's the key to fighting games, is not getting caught off guard. So that's how all of this stuff that I've been teaching turns you into a better fighting game player, because then you know the situations and frame data tells you those situations. And then from there, you'll recognize those key moments. And now every time you run into those key moments in a match, you will not be caught off guard. You already have what you expect to do. And you understand, if you guess wrong, you guess wrong. If you guess right, you guess right. And it won't make you mad if you lose in that situation, because you know what the mind game is now, because you've labbed that situation. You know what the situations are. And if the opponent just happens to outguess you, you're just like, good job. That's it. And so that helps you understand fighting games and get it to a point where it's less about you getting mad, like, what? I can't do anything here. You figure out what you can do, and then you go from there. So that's it for this episode here. If you guys have any questions, stick around for the Q&A afterwards. Here, if you are on Twitch currently, I'll answer a lot of the questions in the chat. If you are on YouTube, please put the questions in the comments below, or you can send me an email. I know I say this every episode. I see your emails. I haven't responded to any of them because I'm terrible at emails. But I promise I'll get back to them. But if you want a quicker answer, DM me on Twitter. That's usually a better way to get to me. But I will try to get back to you guys on email. Mea culpa. I'm sorry. I will get back to your emails as soon as I can. But otherwise, there you go. If you have any questions, definitely please feel free to ask. And watch the Q&A section that comes after this, because there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be asked that people are going to have that you may also have just wanted to know the answer to as well. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, really proud of my spreadsheets there, and really proud of my presentation there. Hope it helped you guys out there. I thought it was really nicely done. But and hope you guys continue to keep learning here on First Attack, because remember, you cannot KO your opponent without First Attack. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.